Okay, you ready?
You ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, we will call the April 10th, 2023 Board of Supervisors meeting to order. Supervisor Lewis.
Present.
Supervisor Day.
Here.
Supervisor Ayers.
Here.
Supervisor Lyons.
Here.
And Supervisor McDaniel's present as well. We will now have a prayer for the board followed by a pledge of allegiance. Those attending are not required to participate, but if you would like to join us, please stand.
Father, our roles here carry a heavy burden. The often difficult decisions made here affect the lives of people throughout our community, and we especially need your advice to lead. So strengthen us, Lord, and give us grace and wisdom. Let us speak and act with honesty and integrity in all situations. Speak to us in the quiet moments as well as amid the chaos, and help our hearts make us true servant leaders. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We will hold citizen comments near the beginning of the meeting. We will do our best to take citizen comment remotely. There are two options for citizens to offer comment. To join by telephone, you may dial into one of the numbers listed on the county website. The webinar ID and password are there for your convenience. Citizens wishing to simply view the meeting live or after the fact can do so on the Rockbridge County Board of Supervisors YouTube channel, also available on the county website. If you wish to make a citizen comment as a Zoom meeting participant, you will use the raise your hand feature. You can press the raise your hand button at the bottom of your Zoom window or press *9 if you're calling in by telephone. All right, we do have a change to the agenda tonight. We will be adding a proclamation for Public Safety Telecommunicators Week. Anything else, Mr. Suter?
Yes, sir.
All right, so now that we get to recognitions and presentations, Ms. Ayers, would you like to read the proclamation for us?
Certainly. Proclamation expressing the appreciation of the Board of Supervisors of Rockbridge County to public safety telecommunicators in recognition of Public Safety Telecommunicator Week. That is a mouthful. Whereas the health and safety of all citizens is critically important in our community, and whereas when an emergency occurs, the availability of 911 assistance is integral to the peace of mind of each individual, and prompt response to such emergencies starts with a professional and dedicated telecommunicator trained in directing swift action. And whereas hundreds of dedicated telecommunicators daily serve the citizens of Virginia by answering their requests for law enforcement, fire and emergency medical services by dispatching the appropriate assistance as quickly as possible. And whereas the professional public safety telecommunicator is that vital link between the citizen or victim and the public safety provider. And whereas the dedicated public safety telecommunicators throughout Virginia handle over 4 million calls to 911 each year. Whereas it is important for the public to be aware of the responsibility to properly use 911 services by calling only when lives or property are in peril, thus increasing the efficiency of the system and improving the chances that lives will be saved. Now, therefore, the Rockbridge County Board of Supervisors does hereby recognize April 9th through the 15th, 2023, as Public Safety Telecommunicator Week in our community. And we call this observance to the attention of all citizens and offer our sincere appreciation to staff of the Rockbridge Regional Public Safety Communications Center for their dedication and service to our community. Adopted this 10th day of April, 2023.
Thank you. Need a motion?
Not on the proclamation.
Okay. All right, next up, we have citizen comments. This time we'll open up for citizen comments. Anyone signed up wishing to address the board?
We have a Mr. Steve Reese.
Please step forward to the podium. Please state your name, magisterial district, and please try to keep your comments to 3 minutes.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Steve Reese, Walker's Creek District. I'm here this evening on behalf of the Fairfield Rescue Squad. We have, I'll call it an issue. One of our volunteers was required to resign in order to keep his job with the Fire and Rescue Department. He had been stationed at Carrs Creek, and since that station transitioned to 24 hours, and he couldn't work that shift due to a job somewhere else, he had to be reassigned, and he chose Fairfield, his home station, and he's not allowed to be a volunteer and work there. I understand that there's probably some legality along the lines. We just would like to ask, he is a very active volunteer. He was somebody that we could depend on to come run calls when nobody else would. An open spot on the schedule, he could pick it up. And we've lost that. If there's some solution that can be found where staff could sign an agreement that, you know, they're not going to hold the county liable or whatever the issue is in the background. I don't claim to know what that issue is. I just know that there's been issues in other localities. But I'd like for us to find a mutually beneficial solution to that problem. I don't think we're the first ones to come up against it. I believe someone in Glasgow had that same issue and he wasn't very active, but it affects me a whole lot when an active volunteer is told he can't be a volunteer anymore. I'd like for us to try to find a way to increase volunteers and not lose them. So if you guys could task somebody, I've spoken to Chief Ramsey about it, and I'm pretty sure he's spoken to Mr. Suter and several other folks about this problem. If there's something that we could do, please let's do it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reese. Is there anyone else signed up wishing to address the board?
No, sir.
Okay. Anyone online wishing to address the board?
No one has their hand raised.
All right. Anyone present didn't have the opportunity to sign up? All right. Next up, we have the approval of the minutes. There's several sets of minutes. Has everyone had a chance to review them? Any questions, comments, concerns, anything? If not, is there a motion to approve?
I'd move to approve minutes 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6, since I wasn't present at the joint school board meeting.
Okay. So we have a motion for 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6. Is there a second to that?
Yeah, I'll second.
Okay. All right. All right. Mr. Lyons?
Yes.
Mr. Day?
Yes.
Ms. Ayers?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Aye.
And Chair votes yes as well. So do we have a motion to approve item number 5, the joint school board?
Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Day, is there a second?
Second?
All right, that's it. Okay, Mr. Day,
Yes.
Ms. Ayers?
Yes.
Mr. Lyons?
Abstain.
All right, Mr. Lewis?
Abstain.
All right, Chair votes yes as well. So we got all the minutes taken care of there. Next up, we have consideration of the county financial package. Mr. Harrison?
Yes, for additional appropriations totaling 152,316. Most of these involve what we talked about in our last budget work session, as recommended by the Finance Committee. For some of these requests, RATS, VAST, RARA, and the Mountain Gateway Community College. So those are in this appropriation resolution. And there's also some monies from the fire program funds. Total expenditures for March 2023 is $1,119,658.98. And of course, you have a copy of the bills list. 75% of the fiscal year has passed, and both our sales and mills are up 83% at 83%. So 8% higher than budgeted. Lodging tax is right on track at 75%. Cigarette tax is a little bit under at 72%. And emissions tax 61%, but of course, that's kind of a seasonal thing. And overall, as you see with the revenue and expense chart, where revenues are still exceeded for the year, which is quite surprising. All the way through March, our revenue is still higher, given that we haven't gotten our second half of our property tax yet. So that's really good. So because our total revenues are up at 39,600,000, and our general fund expenses is 39,400,000. That's all I have.
And I apologize. I missed, did you say that some of the requested items to the budget was on this resolution?
Yes, there was some rats, some of the requests. There was a recommendation to go ahead and take out of FY 2023 and not put it in the FY 24 budget. And those were rats to help them with cash match on purchase of 2 vehicles on a grant they received. VAST was is the new request, one-time request for a stretcher. RARA is a capital campaign they're doing for and Mountain Gateway Community College for their job center.
Yes, so VAST was 16,900 and RAW was 20,000, and Mountain Gateway Community College, the Center of Buena Vista, was 50,000. And the recommendation from the Finance Committee, those were in the prior budget, prior draft budget. And as part of the closing the gap, the Finance Committee recommended pulling those out of next year's budget and funding them in the current year.
I missed the current year. That's why I was asking. Is there any questions for Mr. Harrison? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
And a second?
Second?
All right, Mr. Lyons?
Yes.
Ms. Ayers?
Yes.
Mr. Day?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Aye.
And chair votes yes as well. Next up, we have consideration of farmer's market application for Seasons Yield Farm. Mr. Slavin?
Yes, Mr. Daniel Shear, who is joining us online, Zoom, has submitted an application for a farmer's market per Chapter 4, Amusement and Entertainment, Section 5, Farmer's Market of the Rockbridge County Code. The property is owned by Mr. Daniel and Fawn Shear and is located 165 Oakland Circle, Rafine, further identified as tax map number 28-A-23A, and consists of 8.224 acres per tax records. This will be the third consecutive year of the Seasons Yield Farmers Market or the Shear property per section 4.51E2 of the county code. Mr. Shear has requested the application be approved for a 5-year period. With that, again, Mr. Shear is available online to review any details via Zoom that I may have missed or answer any questions that the board may have.
Thank you, Mr. Slayton. Mr. Shear, is there anything you'd like to add?
No, sir. Thank you for your consideration, though. We really enjoy this opportunity with the community.
Well, thank you for helping out our community in that area. Is there any questions the board has? All right, is there a motion to approve the application for 5 years?
Yes.
All right, a second.
I'll second.
Ms. Ayers,
Yes.
Mr. Day,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis,
Aye.
Mr. Lyons,
Yes.
and Chair votes yes as well. Next up, we have.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Slayton. Consideration to schedule a public hearing on FY 24 budget. Mr. Harrison?
Yes, we are requesting the Board of Supervisors set a public hearing for the FY 2024 budget for April 24th at 6:00 PM or soon thereafter. We've provided you copies of the public notice, the FY 24 budget, and the FY 24 through 2028 CIP. If approved, we'll put all this stuff on the county's website tomorrow. There's been no changes since our last meeting. It's still a balanced budget. The real estate taxes are equalized at 61 cents. Personal property taxes are at 4.25 with a personal property tax relief at 35%. Other personal property at 4.50, machinery and tools at 2.55. There's also a proposed small increase in the tire disposal fees. That's included in the notice, 50 cents a tire. The general fund balance budget is balanced at $56,753,561. Fund 372 is budgeted for $277,928. The capital purchases fund is at $690,006. And again, we're budgeting the ARPA funds in hopes that we at $4,208,895. The Rockbridge County Public Schools Fund is budgeted at $36,758,134. The cafeteria is at $1,187,154. And the school debt fund is at $3,846,355. If you have any questions?
Does the board have any questions on Mr. Harris? When do we anticipate getting final numbers from the state, and how will that impact?
I heard they're looking at late June.
Yeah.
That's what I heard on the radio.
I read today.
So if we go ahead and advertise and approve our budget as it is, and the state numbers somehow affect it, will we have to do an amendment?
You would do a budget amendment,
Okay.
and that's up to the board's discretion as to what to amend and how much to amend.
Okay.
And it's important to note here too that by approving this advertisement for public hearing, you're also hearing for the CIP, for approval of the CIP as well.
That includes the school CIP as well, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay.
And again, the request is to direct staff to advertise for public hearing on April 24th at 6 p.m.
So moved.
And a second?
Second?
All right, Mr. Lyon?
Yes.
Ms. Ayers?
Yes.
Mr. Day?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Aye.
And Chair votes yes as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have, sorry, lost my place.
Update on the
Update
borrowing.
on the Rockbridge County Public School Floyd SK Innovation Center. Mr. Suter?
Yes, at your last regular meeting on the 27th of March, the board discussed the potential to enter into the Spring Resource, Virginia Resource Authority, VRA's bond sale pool to secure funding for the Rockbridge County Public Schools Innovation Center renovation. The contemplated cost of $8 million was derived from Quinn Evans' division-wide feasibility study, which was completed a little over 4 years ago, right at 4 years ago, and that was pre-COVID. The maximum borrowing approved by the Board of Supervisors was $9 million to include closing and other costs such as capitalized interest. And during that meeting on the 27th, staff shared that the schools were expecting a more detailed but still high level cost estimate by the end of that week, which was March 30th, from the architect Spectrum Design. And given that the deadline for the final commitment for inclusion in the VRA spring pool was April 3rd, which is the following Tuesday, and the next regular board meeting was this evening, the board did concur to let Chairman McDaniel make the decision on whether or not to move ahead with the borrowing based on the updated estimate. And so on March 29th, one day ahead of schedule, we received an estimate of a total cost at $12,047,851. And that's probably a little bit of false accuracy, like I say, because that's a couple things. That's the architect's estimate. And I want to make very clear that the architect's high level estimate doesn't always hit. It could be above, could be below. And then you take off the 15.59% from the city of Lexington share. That takes off 1,878,260. And so the county's, total cost of the county would be 10,169,591. And also as discussed at the last joint meeting with the school board, the schools will be applying for a school construction assistance program, SCAP grant from Virginia Department of Education, which if awarded, the county share, which is 84.41% of that savings, would be a little over $1 million. Thus, and if awarded, the total estimated county cost would be $9,152,632, and Lexington's cost would then be reduced to $1,690,434. In that both of these numbers are higher than the board had anticipated in spring borrowing, Mr. Harris and I recommended waiting until the fall pool, and Chairman McDaniel concurred. It's important to emphasize again that these are estimates at the schematic level. And at the March 27th meeting, additional concern was expressed that the borrowing was to take place prior to knowing the true costs from the bid. At the time, the Rockbridge County Public Schools target schedule was June 1st to advertise requests for bids. June 30th, bids would be due. July 11th, award and notice to proceed. And the next day or as soon as possible thereafter, construction would begin. With August of 2024 as the target completion and move-in date to get kids back in the renovated space for the start of the 2024 school year. Staff recommends that the Rockbridge County Public Schools be encouraged to consider extending the period between award and commencement of construction. Ostensibly, this would extend the entire schedule, impacting the completion date likely into the 2024 school year, potentially around Christmas. It could also serve to increase competition among bidders. The timing of a midsummer start date for construction could reduce the number of bidders, who may already be booked with other work in the summer. And there is the potential, no guarantee, but there's potential it could reduce the cost. A quick turnaround between notice to proceed and the start of construction may come at a premium given the tight labor market. Allowing more flexibility in the start date may allow bidders additional leeway in planning their construction schedule to coincide with completion of other work already underway. And in any case, we want to make clear that it's impossible to predict some costs, impacts such as labor and material costs that can change. So as noted, just as an update, we pulled out of the spring pool with a plan to move ahead with the fall pool when we have more solid cost figure to work with. And again, our request is to work with the school division to adjust the schedule in an effort to hopefully receive the best possible bids. And all through last week, I remained in close contact with Dr. Thompson, talked about it with him. And yes, it would be a bit of a pain to extend that into the fall 2024 school year. But that is our recommendation.
And as you spoke with Dr. Thompson, I spoke with Mr. Whitmore, the school board chair, and it's not necessarily our place to dictate their terms, but I did relay as well that possibly extending the start date and the completion date may help. Just something for them to think about and factor in, and that, while we weren't pursuing the spring fund, it didn't mean we weren't in support of the project either. It just meant that we wanted to delay to get more information to make sure we were doing it accurately and correctly. And he was fine with that and said that he would make his board aware of the changes. Is there any questions anyone has for Mr. Suter? All right. Next up, we have some appointments.
Just a minute.
Yes, sir.
Well, this is new.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, on the last one, is there consensus? Go ahead and working with the schools to see if we can extend that date.
Does anyone have any issue with that? I mean, I think ultimately it's the school's decision. And, but we'll work with them and help them in any capacity that they would like for us to, is the way I see
Or at
it.
least ask them to get two bids. You know, you get your package and then an alternate bid. It's done at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any issue from them to see what is out there. You know, here's what we would like. But if you can't meet this deadline, give us your deadline and what you would price it. I think they're okay with that from getting the bids. Yeah. And also, I mean, I made it clear to them that, you know, just because we were waiting till the fall fund, which probably wouldn't be till September, if they were able to start in July or August or whenever, we would front load and we would work out a reimbursement request through them that they get reimbursed for the funds upfront. So we're not going to, if they're able to start in July, we certainly are not going to, you know, make them wait until we get the bond taken care of.
Thank you.
All right, you ready, Mr. Duff?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. All right, we have Community Services Board. I don't believe we have two positions. I'm not sure that we've received any applications.
For Hugh Ferguson's position,
Mhm.
Sheriff Funkhauser is willing to fill that.
Well, that would be great.
Break. I just needed that.
We got a couple more positions. You want to take another break? All right. So we have for Mr. Ferguson, whose term expires 12/31/2023. Sheriff Funkhauser would be stepping into that. Is there a motion to approve
So moved.
and a second? All right. We have Mr. All right, Mr. Day,
Yes.
Mr. Lyons.
Yes.
Ms. Ayers.
Yes.
Mr. Lewis.
Aye.
And Chair votes yes as well. The Economic Development Authority, term expires April 10th of 2023. Mr. Day, I believe we don't have a South River representative. We were trying to find one. Have you
That's
been able to
right.
find one?
Yes, sir. It was brought to my attention that we hadn't had a representative from South River for some years, maybe as many as 7, that position. And I'd like to nominate or propose that Mr. J. Williams be appointed to that position.
Okay, so that's a motion. Is there a second? For Mr. Williams?
A second.
All right. Any questions, comments, anything? All right, Mr. Day,
Yes.
Mr. Lyons.
Yes.
Ms. Ayers,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis.
Aye.
And Chair votes yes as well.
Can I just, I would like to acknowledge Lynn Jones's years of service and thank him very much for all that he's done.
Yes.
I believe he started in 2004. And he started the same year as Mr. Jerry Locker started. They were contemporaries on that at that time. And I think he served the first 9 years as secretary and the remainder of that time as chair.
It's been quite an asset to the EDA and to the county, and we appreciate his service. But we do try to spread, you know, those positions out amongst each district. So having a South River representative will be good for our EDA. Social Services Board, Mr. Pedersen, term expires April 30th, 2023. He's willing to be reappointed. And I believe he's actually from my district, and I would ask that you reappoint him. I think he's done a good job, if there was a motion to do so.
Is that a motion?
No, I can't. You,
Right.
if you will make one, that'd be
Yes,
good.
sir.
All right, Mr. Day, is there a second?
Second.
All right, Mr. Lewis. All right, Mr. Day,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis,
Aye.
Ms. Ayers,
Yes.
Mr. Lyons,
Yes.
and Chair votes yes as well. Let's see here, TCO, Mr. Barger, term expires April 8th, 2023. I don't know that we've heard back from him. I'm not sure we have any additional applications. Is that accurate?
That is correct. Mr. Sladen, have you heard back from Mr. Carter?
I have not reached out.
Okay.
An email that I certainly can if directed to. And I'm confident he would be interested.
I think Ms. Whitten has reached out and just, Barter's busy man.
Okay.
We can certainly bring it back to you.
Yeah, we'll put a hold on that. Central Shenandoah Planning District Commission, that's Mr. Jay Lewis, term expires June 30th of 2023. So we have some time if one of y'all want to find someone. If not, he's willing to be reappointed. And we can go ahead and knock that one out. Is there any discussion on that?
No.
Is there a motion to reappoint Mr. Lewis?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All right. Ms. Ayers?
Yes.
Mr. Lyons?
Yes.
Mr. Day?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis? And Chair votes yes as well. Monthly staff reports. Has everyone had the opportunity to review those? Is there any questions, concerns, comments? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All right, Mr. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Lyons?
Yes.
Ms. Ayers?
Yes.
Mr. Day?
Yes.
Chair votes yes as well. Any board comments or committee updates?
I'd like to give a RARO update.
Okay.
The timber frame raising on Brubaker Field was a huge success. If you haven't seen it yet, you need to come by Brubaker Field and see it. It's really quite beautiful. I'd like to thank the staff and the volunteers, the Mullins, for their hard work. We're very thankful that this was funded, that we had funding from the Pickerel Fund, as well as Rockbridge Community Health Foundation. Anyway, please come see it. RARO will be expanding their offerings this summer by offering kayaking. They'll be partnering with Journey Outdoors in Moy River Smallmouth. They will also be offering hiking and backpacking, and they'll be, I believe they're partnering with Walkabout Outfitters on that. Two dates to keep in mind: April 22nd, we have the Jerry Mace Field naming at Rivermont at 11 a.m. And May 6th, we have Rural Appreciation Day, Camden Field, 11 to 2.
Thank you. Anyone else have any comments? I believe we have to tomorrow at 2:30, Senator Warner's going
Yes,
to
I believe it is.
2:30.
It's
be at the
2:30
MSA.
At the MSA plant.
Yeah.
The water treatment plant intake down at the river.
Okay. And that's in, or acknowledging the $3 million earmark, I guess, or grant funding.
I think it's congressionally directed funding.
Okay, that we was fortunate enough to receive for that project. Unfortunately, I have a work conflict. I don't believe I'm gonna be able to attend, but I believe Ms. Ayers is gonna be there, and I believe Mr. Lewis, as being on the MSA, is gonna be there.
I can't attend either.
Okay,
I'll be there.
all right, Mr. Lyons. And then is there anything else this week? Seems like our monthly calendar is filling up pretty quick with meetings on different things.
It is, but thankfully, there's no budget meetings. We've had multiple budget meetings that could have occurred that didn't because you all got to a balanced budget.
All right. Is there any, there's nothing else. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So move.
And a second? All right. We got it. Mr. Lyons.
Yes.
Mr. Lewis.
Aye.
Ms. Ayers.
Yes.
Mr. Day.
Yes.
And chair votes yes as well.